Bullies try to embarrass the new girl in class. Big mistake. She's a genius fighter. Maya Delacroix sat in the back corner of her chemistry class at Westfield High, hunched over her notebook with shoulders curved inward like a question mark. Her oversized glasses kept sliding down her nose, and she pushed them up with a nervous habit that had already drawn snickers from nearby students. At 17, she looked younger than most sophomores, with her petite frame barely filling out her uniform and dark hair falling like a curtain around her face. 3 weeks into the semester, she had successfully made herself invisible to most of the student body. Almost invisible. The pencil erasers started hitting the back of her head during second period. Maya flinched, but didn't turn around. She knew who was behind her without looking. Brittany Morrison and her crew had made Maya's life miserable since her first day. Brittany, with her perfectly straightened blonde hair and designer clothes that somehow made the school uniform look fashionable, had claimed the territory around Maya's desk like a lion, marking its hunting ground. "Hey, mouse girl," Brittany whispered loud enough for half the class to hear. "Did you even shower this morning? You smell like old books and sadness." Snickers rippled through the classroom. Maya's grip tightened on her pen, but she kept writing. Mrs. Henderson continued her lecture on molecular bonds, either oblivious to the harassment or deliberately ignoring it. Maya had learned that teachers at Westfield High preferred to look the other way when it came to social hierarchies. The truth was, Maya could have ended this weeks ago. Back in Montreal, she had been training in mixed martial arts since she was 8 years old. Her adoptive father, Michel Delacroix, ran one of the most respected dojos in Canada. Maya had earned her black belt in karate at 14 and had been studying Brazilian jiu-jitsu, Muay Thai, and boxing for years. She could take down opponents twice her size with techniques most people had never heard of, but Michel had taught her something more important than fighting. "Violence should be the last resort, ma petite guerrière," he had said countless times. "A true warrior fights only when there is no other choice, only to protect yourself or others who cannot protect themselves." Maya had promised him she would try to solve her problems peacefully. She had promised herself she would be different from the kids who had bullied her before the Delacroix family adopted her. She would not become what she hated. The bell rang, and Maya quickly gathered her books. She had learned to be first out of every classroom, but today Brittany was ready for her. Not so fast, freak show. Brittany stepped directly into Maya's path, flanked by her two constant companions, Jessica Park, a tall girl with cold eyes who rarely spoke but always watched, and Samantha Torres, whose fake laugh could be heard across any hallway. Maya tried to step around them, but Jessica moved to block her exit. The rest of the students flowed around them like water around rocks, nobody wanting to get involved in whatever was about to happen. "I'm talking to you," Brittany said, her voice taking on that sickly sweet tone that Maya had learned to fear. "Don't you think it's rude to ignore someone who's trying to be friendly?" "I just want to get to my next class," Maya said quietly, keeping her eyes down. Her heart was starting to race, not from fear of them, but from the effort it took to hold herself back. "Oh, she speaks." Samantha clapped her hands together. "I was starting to think you were mute. Wouldn't that be perfect? The weird little immigrant girl who can't even talk." Heat flashed through Maya's chest. She could feel her muscles tensing, her body naturally shifting into a defensive stance. Jessica noticed the change and took a half step back. "What's wrong?" Brittany leaned closer. "Did we strike a nerve? Are you going to cry? I bet you're a crier." Maya forced herself to relax. She thought of Michelle's voice, calm and steady. "Strength is not in your fists, Maya. It is in your choice not to use them." "Please, just let me pass," Maya said. Brittany stepped aside with an exaggerated bow. "Of course, Your Highness. We wouldn't want to keep the genius waiting." Maya hurried past them, but she could hear their laughter following her down the hallway. Other students glanced her way with mixtures of pity and relief that they weren't the target. The pattern continued for weeks. Maya would arrive early to each class and sit in the back, hoping to disappear into the walls, but Brittany's crew always found her. They knocked her books from her desk, accidentally bumped into her in the hallways, and made loud comments about her appearance whenever she passed. In the cafeteria, Maya had claimed a table near the emergency exit, strategically positioned so she could leave quickly if needed. She ate alone, reading while she chewed her sandwiches. The food was mediocre, but it was better than what she had eaten in some of the foster homes before the Delacroix family had saved her. "Is this seat taken?" Maya looked up to see Aaron Kim, a quiet boy from her chemistry class. He had dark hair that fell across his forehead and kind eyes behind wire-rimmed glasses. Maya had noticed him because he was one of the few students who never laughed when others picked on her. "You don't want to sit here," Maya said softly. It'll just make you a target too. Aaron sat down anyway. I'm used to being a target. Might as well have company. They ate in comfortable silence for a few minutes. Aaron didn't try to make conversation, which Maya appreciated. She had gotten used to being alone. You know, Aaron said eventually, I saw what happened in chemistry yesterday, when Brittany knocked over your beaker and blamed you for the mess. Maya shrugged. It doesn't matter. It does matter. Mrs. Henderson knew exactly what happened, but she made you clean it up anyway. Aaron pushed his glasses up his nose. I wanted to say something, but you didn't want to become her next victim. Maya understood. It's okay. I get it. Do you ever think about fighting back? The question hung in the air between them. Maya thought about all the ways she could fight back, all the techniques Michelle had taught her, all the competitions she had won. She thought about the satisfaction it would bring to see shock and fear replace the smugness on Brittany's face. Sometimes, she admitted, but fighting never really solves anything. It just creates more problems. Aaron nodded thoughtfully. My dad says the same thing, but sometimes I wonder if there's a difference between fighting and defending yourself. Before Maya could respond, a shadow fell across their table. Brittany stood behind Aaron, flanked by Jessica and Samantha. Maya's stomach clenched. Well, Brittany said. Looks like the mouse found herself a boyfriend. How sweet. Aaron started to turn around, but Maya caught his eye and shook her head slightly. Don't engage, she mouthed. I'm talking to you, Four Eyes, Brittany said to Aaron. Don't you know this table is contaminated? You might catch whatever she has. We're just eating lunch, Aaron said quietly. Oh, he's got a voice too, Samantha giggled. What is this, the loser convention? Jessica reached over and casually knocked Maya's water bottle off the table. It hit the floor and rolled under the next table, water spilling across the linoleum. Oops, Jessica said with a smirk. Maya felt something shift inside her chest. The careful control she had maintained for weeks was starting to crack. She could see exactly how she would move. A quick grab of Jessica's wrist, a simple twist, and the girl would be on her knees apologizing. It would take 3 seconds. Instead, Maya got up and retrieved her water bottle. When she returned to the table, Brittany was still standing there, clearly not finished. You know what your problem is, Mouse Girl. Brittany leaned down so her face was inches from Maya's. You think you're better than everyone else, sitting here all quiet and mysterious like you've got some big secret. Well, guess what? Nobody cares about your tragic little backstory. Maya's hands were shaking now, but not from fear. She pressed them flat against the table and tried to focus on her breathing. In through the nose, out through the mouth, like Michelle had taught her. Leave her alone, Aaron said suddenly. All 3 girls turned to stare at him. Aaron looked terrified, but he didn't back down. What did you just say to me? Brittany's voice was dangerously quiet. I said leave her alone, she hasn't done anything to you. Brittany's laugh was sharp and ugly. Oh, this is rich. The little nerd thinks he's a hero. She reached over and swept Aaron's lunch tray off the table. His sandwich, chips, and apples scattered across the floor, along with his can of soda, which rolled under Maya's feet. Pick it up, Brittany said. Aaron stared at the mess, his face flushing red. Around them, other students had stopped eating to watch the show. Some were holding up phones ready to record whatever happened next. I said pick it up, Brittany repeated. Aaron started to stand, but Maya put a hand on his arm. Don't. Excuse me? Brittany turned her attention back to Maya. Did I ask for your opinion? He's not picking up anything, Maya said, surprised by the steadiness of her own voice. You made the mess. You clean it up. The cafeteria fell, completely silent. Even the lunch ladies behind the counter had stopped working to watch. Brittany's mouth fell open in shock. What did you just say to me? Maya stood up slowly. At her full height, she was still several inches shorter than Brittany, but something in her posture had changed. Her shoulders were back, her spine straight. For the first time in weeks, she looked directly into Brittany's eyes. I said you made the mess. You should clean it up. Jessica and Samantha exchanged glances. They had never seen Maya stand up for herself, let alone challenge their leader. You have got to be kidding me, Brittany said. Do you have any idea who you're talking to? I'm talking to a bully, Maya said calmly. And I'm tired of watching you hurt people. Brittany's face turned red. Oh, you think you're tough now? You think because your little boyfriend spoke up that you can mouth off to me? Aaron's not my boyfriend, Maya said. He's just someone who was kind to me. Something you wouldn't understand. The crowd around them was growing larger. Students from other tables had moved closer, sensing that something big was about to happen. You know what? Brittany said, her voice rising. I am so sick of your holier-than-thou attitude. You walk around here like you're some kind of victim, but really you're just a weird little freak who doesn't belong here. Maya felt the last thread of her control snap. You're right, she said quietly. I don't belong here. But not for the reasons you think. Something in Maya's tone made Jessica take a step backward. Brittany, however, was too angry to notice the warning signs. Finally, some honesty, Brittany said. So why don't you do us all a favor and just disappear? Go back to whatever third world country you crawled out of. The racial slur hit Maya like a physical blow. Around them, several students gasped. Even Samantha looked uncomfortable. Maya's vision narrowed to focus entirely on Brittany's face. All the training, all the discipline, all the promises to Michelle about being better than this, it all evaporated in an instant. That was a mistake, Maya said softly. What are you going to do about it? Brittany stepped closer, invading Maya's personal space. Hit me? Go ahead. I'd love to see you try. Maya looked around the cafeteria. Every eye was on her. Students were holding phones, ready to capture whatever happened next. She thought about all the times she had walked away, all the insults she had swallowed, all the humiliation she had endured. You want to see what I can do? Maya asked. Before Brittany could respond, Maya moved. It wasn't the explosive, flashy violence of movies. It was precise, controlled, and over in seconds. Maya's right hand shot out and grabbed Brittany's wrist. At the same time, she stepped to the side and used Brittany's own momentum to pull her off balance. Brittany stumbled forward, and Maya simply guided her down to the floor using a basic judo throw. Brittany landed hard on her knees, Maya's hand still controlling her wrist in a position that would cause immediate pain if she tried to move. Let me go, Brittany shrieked. Apologize, Maya said calmly. What? Apologize to Aaron for throwing his food. Apologize to me for the racist comment. Apologize to everyone here for being a bully. I'm not apologizing to you. Brittany tried to jerk away, but Maya's grip tightened. Brittany gasped in pain. I can keep you here all day, Maya said. This is called a basic wrist control hold. I learned it when I was 9 years old. Would you like to see what I learned? When I was 16. Jessica and Samantha were frozen in shock. They had never seen their leader in such a vulnerable position. You're crazy, Brittany said. No, Maya replied. I'm trained. There's a difference. She released Brittany's wrist and stepped back. Brittany scrambled to her feet, her face red with embarrassment and rage. You think you're so tough? Brittany snarled. This isn't over. She lunged at Maya, hands outstretched like claws aimed at Maya's face. Maya sidestepped easily and caught Brittany's arm in a cross-collar grip. Using a technique called ogoshi, she lifted Brittany slightly off the ground and placed her back, down on her feet, but now facing away from Maya. That was hip throw number 1, Maya said conversationally. I know 17 different variations. Would you like to see another one? Brittany spun around, her face twisted with fury. I'm going to destroy you. This time, Maya was ready with a different approach. When Brittany rushed her, Maya dropped low and performed a perfect foot sweep, sending Brittany tumbling to the ground again. That was ashibarai, Maya explained to the stunned crowd. Foot sweep, very basic technique. Brittany tried to get up, but Maya placed one foot gently on her chest, not applying pressure, but making it clear that she could. Here's what's going to happen, Maya said, her voice carrying clearly across the silent cafeteria. You're going to apologize to Aaron, you're going to apologize to me, and you're going to leave both of us alone from now on. Go to hell, Brittany spat. Maya shrugged and shifted her weight slightly. Brittany's eyes widened as she felt the pressure increase on her chest. I've been training in martial arts for 9 years, Maya said matter-of-factly. I have black belts in 2 different disciplines and have competed nationally in 3 others. I could have ended this whole situation on my first day here, but I chose not to because I was taught that violence should be a last resort. She leaned down slightly, her voice dropping so only Brittany could hear. But you just made it my first resort. Maya stepped back and offered Brittany her hand. Get up. Brittany stared at the outstretched hand suspiciously, then reluctantly took it. Maya pulled her to her feet with surprising gentleness. Now, Maya said, your apologies. Brittany looked around the cafeteria. Every student was staring at her, many with their phones still recording. Her carefully constructed reputation as the school's untouchable queen bee was crumbling in real time. I'm sorry, she mumbled, barely audible. Louder, Maya said, and be specific. Brittany's jaw clenched. I'm sorry for throwing your food, Aaron. I'm sorry for what I said to you, Maya. Maya nodded. And I'll leave you both alone. Thank you, Maya said politely. That wasn't so hard, was it? Jessica and Samantha helped Brittany straighten her clothes and gather her dignity. As they turned to leave, Brittany looked back over her shoulder. "This isn't over," she said quietly. Maya smiled, and for the first time since arriving at Westfield High, it was a real smile. "Yes, it is." The crowd began to disperse, students returning to their tables with excited whispers and shared videos. Aaron sat back down across from Maya, his expression somewhere between amazement and concern. "I can't believe you just did that," he said. Maya sat down and took a sip from her water bottle. Her hands weren't shaking anymore. "Neither can I," she admitted. "My father is going to be disappointed in me." "Why? You defended yourself. You defended me." "I promised him I wouldn't fight unless I had no other choice." Aaron picked up his apple, which had rolled under the table but was somehow still intact. "Seems like you didn't have a choice to me." Maya considered this. "Maybe you're right." Word of the cafeteria incident spread through Westfield High like wildfire. By the end of the day, Maya's quiet corner in the back of her classes was no longer ignored. Students nodded to her in the hallways, and some even smiled. In chemistry class, Mrs. Henderson assigned a group project, and for the first time, Maya wasn't left to work alone. 3 different groups asked her to join them. Brittany, Jessica, and Samantha sat at their usual table, but the dynamic had shifted. Other students no longer hung on Brittany's every word or laughed at her jokes. The power she had wielded through fear and intimidation had evaporated in the space of 5 minutes. Maya found Aaron waiting by her locker after school. "I wanted to thank you," he said, "for standing up for me back there." "You stood up for me first," Maya replied. "That took courage." "Not as much courage as what you did." Maya closed her locker and shouldered her backpack. "Walk with me?" They headed toward the school's exit together, past groups of students who watched them with new respect. "Can I ask you something?" Aaron said as they reached the parking lot. "Where did you learn to fight like that?" Maya hesitated. She had spent so long hiding this part of herself that talking about it felt strange. "My father runs a dojo in Montreal," she said finally. "He adopted me when I was 10, after I'd been bounced around foster homes for a few years. He taught me that martial arts aren't about hurting people. They're about discipline, respect, and protecting yourself and others." "That's incredible. Why didn't you ever mention it?" "Because I didn't want to be defined by it. I wanted people to like me for who I am, not because they were afraid of what I could do." Aaron nodded thoughtfully. "I think people are going to like you for who you are now. You showed everyone today that you're someone worth respecting." Maya smiled. "Thanks, Aaron. That means a lot." They reached the bus stop where Aaron would catch his ride home. As they waited, Maya's phone buzzed with a text message from Michelle. "How was school today, ma petite guerrière?" Maya thought about how to respond. She could tell him about the incident, explain why she had broken her promise to solve problems peacefully. She could describe how it felt to finally stand up for herself after weeks of torment. Instead, she typed back, "Better than usual, Papa. I think I'm finally finding my place here." A few minutes later, her phone buzzed again. "I'm proud of you, Maya. Remember, being strong doesn't mean never falling down. It means getting back up when you do." Maya smiled and tucked her phone away. Michael always seemed to know exactly what she needed to hear. Next morning, Maya arrived at school to find Aaron waiting by her locker with 2 cups of coffee. "I thought you might want some," he said, offering her one of the cups. "It's from that cafe near my house. They make it strong." "Thank you," Maya said, genuinely touched by the gesture. "You didn't have to do that." "I wanted to. Besides, I figure we should stick together. The alliance of former victims." Maya laughed, a sound that surprised them both. "I like that." As they walked to first period together, Maya noticed that other students were looking at her differently. There was no pity in their eyes anymore, no dismissive glances or suppressed laughter. Instead, she saw curiosity, respect, and in some cases, admiration. In chemistry class, Maya found herself sitting in the middle of the room instead of hiding in the back corner. When Mrs. Henderson called on her to answer a question about molecular structures, Maya answered clearly and confidently, without the stutter that had plagued her for weeks. Brittany sat 3 rows ahead, her shoulders hunched and her normally perfect hair slightly disheveled. She didn't turn around once during the entire class. At lunch, Maya and Aaron were joined by 3 other students, David Martinez from their physics class, Sarah Walsh from the debate team, and Marcus Thompson, who played saxophone in the school band. None of them had ever spoken to Maya before yesterday, but they all had stories about being bullied or watching others get bullied without knowing how to help. "I wish I could do what you did," Sarah said. "I've been dealing with mean girls since middle school, but I never had the courage to fight back." "It's not about fighting," Maya said. "It's about knowing when to stand up for yourself and when to walk away." Yesterday I couldn't walk away anymore. But you knew how to fight when you needed to, Marcus pointed out. That made all the difference. Maya nodded. My father always told me that the best fight is the one you never have to have. But sometimes, when someone crosses a line, you have to show them where that line is. David leaned forward. Do you think Brittany will try to get revenge? Maya glanced across the cafeteria to where Brittany sat with Jessica and Samantha. The three girls were eating in subdued silence, occasionally glancing in Maya's direction before quickly looking away. I don't think so, Maya said. Bullies like Brittany rely on other people being afraid of them. Once that fear is gone, they don't have any real power. She was right. Over the next few weeks, Brittany made a few half-hearted attempts to reassert her dominance, snide comments in the hallway, eye rolls during class presentations, but her heart wasn't in it. The other students no longer hung on her every word or participated in her campaigns of harassment. Without an audience, Brittany's cruelty lost its appeal. Maya, meanwhile, blossomed. She joined the debate team at Sarah's suggestion and discovered she had a talent for public speaking. Her years of quiet observation had made her an excellent judge of people and arguments. She also started an informal self-defense club that met after school in the gymnasium, teaching basic techniques to students who wanted to feel more confident. Aaron became her closest friend and eventually something more. They studied together, ate lunch together, and spent hours talking about everything from quantum physics to their dreams for the future. Maya learned that Aaron wanted to be an engineer, while she was still deciding between becoming a social worker, like the woman who had helped place her with the Delacroix family, or following in Michelle's footsteps as a martial arts instructor. One afternoon, about a month after the cafeteria incident, Maya was walking to her car when she heard crying coming from behind the gymnasium. She found Brittany sitting on the concrete steps, tears streaming down her face. Are you okay? Maya asked, surprising herself with the question. Brittany looked up, her mascara smudged and her perfect facade completely gone. Why do you care? Maya sat down beside her, maintaining a respectful distance. Because you're crying and no one should have to cry alone. I don't understand you, Brittany said after a long silence. I was horrible to you. I said terrible things. Why aren't you gloating? Maya considered the question. Because gloating wouldn't make either of us feel better. Brittany wiped her nose with her sleeve, a gesture so unlike her usual composed self that it was almost heartbreaking. My parents are getting divorced, she said quietly. My dad moved out last week. My mom spends all day crying or screaming at me about my grades, my attitude, my friends. I feel like everything in my life is falling apart. I'm sorry, Maya said, and meant it. I know that's not an excuse for how I treated you. I was so angry all the time, and you seemed like an easy target. Someone who wouldn't fight back. I almost didn't fight back, Maya admitted. I promised my father I would try to solve problems peacefully. Then why did you? Fight back, I mean. Maya thought about it. Because you crossed a line. When you made that comment about my background, about where I came from, I realized that some things are worth fighting for. My dignity was one of them. Brittany nodded slowly. I deserved what happened in the cafeteria. Maybe. But you don't deserve to feel like your life is falling apart. They sat in comfortable silence for a few minutes, watching the sun set behind the school building. Can I ask you something? Brittany said finally. How do you do it? How do you stay so calm all the time, even when people are awful to you? Maya smiled. I'm not calm all the time. I just learned that losing control usually makes things worse, not better. My father taught me that real strength comes from choosing how to respond to situations, not just reacting emotionally. Your father sounds like a wise man. He is. He saved my life in more ways than one. Brittany stood up and brushed off her jeans. I should probably go home. Thanks for sitting with me. You didn't have to do that. Everyone deserves compassion, Maya said, even people who haven't always shown it to others. As Brittany walked away, Maya reflected on how much her life had changed in just a few weeks. She had arrived at Westfield High as a victim, someone who absorbed abuse and tried to make herself invisible, but that version of herself had been her choice, not her true nature. The real Maya Delacroix was someone who stood up for herself and others, someone who could be kind to her enemies and fierce in defense of her friends. Someone who understood that true strength wasn't about never being afraid, it was about doing the right thing even when you were afraid. Her phone buzzed with a message from Michelle. How are things at school, ma petite guerrière? Maya smiled. Anne typed back, good papa, really good. I think I'm finally learning what you meant about being a warrior. His response came quickly. A warrior protects. A warrior serves. A warrior chooses when to fight and when to show mercy. It sounds like you're becoming everything I hoped you would be. Maya put her phone away and headed to her car, where Aaron was waiting with his usual patient smile. "Ready to go?" he asked. "Ready," Maya said. As they drove away from Westfield High, Maya caught a glimpse of herself in the rearview mirror. The scared, hunched girl who had tried to disappear into the walls was gone. In her place was someone confident, strong and unafraid to take up space in the world. She had learned that sometimes the best way to avoid a fight is to prove that you're ready for one. She had discovered that standing up for yourself doesn't make you a bully, it makes you someone worthy of respect. And most importantly, she had realized that her past didn't define her future unless she let it. Maya Delacroix had found her place at Westfield High, not by hiding from who she was, but by embracing it completely. And that, she thought, was a lesson worth learning.